Hello and welcome to another episode of the Field of 68's off-season grades. Rob Dawson here. I got Terrence Oglesby with me, and we are going to be breaking down the Texas Longhorns and what it means for them that Arch Manning is now the starting quarterback. Wait, no, this is a college basketball podcast.
Basketball.
This isn't college football.
Football starting tonight,
Do,
though.
do you think Texas fans right now realize that they have a new college basketball coach with a new college basketball roster and a team that might be heading back to the NCAA tournament this year? How many people in the city of Austin, Texas, right now realize that?
Um,
How many people are on Sean Miller's
the
coaching staff?
conversation of Declan Duru and his ability to come off the bench and be a major piece has turned into riveting conversations around the speakeasies of Austin because they don't have the dive bars like the rest of Texas. They're a tier higher than the rest of Texas in their mind, not in everybody else's. In their mind.
Yeah, the first thing that everyone talks about is Salt Lick Barbecue right now is whether or not Kendall Weaver can step into a starting role as a senior on that roster.
Right.
Um, it's actually an interesting roster, right? Like I think that there is a little bit of potential here. Jordan Pope is back, Tremont Mark is back, Kendall Weaver I just mentioned is back. You brought in Simeon Wilcher from St. John's, potential guy hasn't quite lived up to that production. You got a guy in Dalen Swain who felt like he had his breakout, had his big step at the end of last season in the Big East for Xavier. Modest Vocatitis is a guy that I love coming in from FAU. Cam Heidi's coming in. You got Lassant Traore there, who was a double-double guy. And I I think that there are some pieces here. The question is, one, are you buying Sean Miller being able to get the best out of them is one of them. And two, is there, and you tell me if I'm wrong here, I'm looking at this roster and I don't see a single person on this team whose skill set is I'm making life easier for other people. I'm going to be the guy that sets the table for somebody else. I'm going to be the guy that makes sure that Vocatitis is getting good shots and Tremont Mark is getting easy shots. And
They don't
Dalen
give
Swain is getting easy
Vocatitis
shots.
looks. I don't even know what the point is. Somebody get my man Vocatitis his looks.
Yes, he needs it. He needs
Yeah,
it.
that's
What do
it.
you make of this roster?
You know what? I actually like some of the pieces. I think Lassina Traore, who didn't get to play last year, prior to his time at Xavier, like high energy, high effort guy, good length, just gets to every freaking ball. So uh, I think Sean is excited to coach him because he's going to bring a certain amount of toughness to this team. You look at the other guys like Tremont Mark had good, really good moments at times last year. Really good moments. Does it translate into consistently? I think Simeon Wilcher might be one of the more underrated pickups because this is a guy that I'll be honest, I was pleasantly surprised with how well it went with Patino, even though he wasn't playing as much as a lot of people kind of expected. That's a guy who was top 20 kid in his class. There was some ego there. I put some Caleb Love comparisons on him because he had the same kind of demeanor and swagger and like, I'm going to fire it up and I'll take a difficult one or two, but I'll end up with 30. I thought he really bought in at St. John's. Now, can it be his show a little bit more? The natural creativity is there. He's a really good player. Uh, this is one of those where I think a change of scenery will be good for him. You know, we've talked about some of the other additions at other schools. You know, we talked about AJ Storr at Ole Miss, where you've seen these super highs, but you've also seen the super lows. I think you've seen a player that has really tried to adapt to what his coach wants to do. If Sean puts him in position to say, hey, go get one, I think Wilcher can go get one. So, I think I'm a little higher on this team than you are. Just simply because you have Jordan Pope that could create something. You have Simeon Wilcher that really can create something. You have Tremont Mark, who's back, who's good, who averaged almost 11 points a game last year. And then you have some of these carryovers from Xavier who understand how Sean likes to do things. And if there's one thing you can guarantee now in today's age of the transfer portal, if a guy gets a job somewhere else, he is taking two players with him. And that's what Sean did just to kind of keep that culture thing going with Dylan Swain and Traore. So you look at these two guys, hard playing guys. Can you roll it over into SEC play? And this is not a shot at the Big East, but the sheer depth of the SEC is very different.
It's different. It's different. The one thing that I do find interesting is that in his time away from basketball, right after everything happened in Arizona and before he got the job at Xavier, you saw Sean kind of switch from being a guy that was maybe a little bit more defensive minded, a little more system oriented, a little more like, we're going to get up here. I'm going to be a control freak. We're going to run this shit over here. We're going to try to make sure we don't want to make mistakes, a little bit of a slower pace. And then with Xavier, I mean, he's loading up on the guards. He's loading up on the scores. He's getting out and running. It's a different level of pace. It's a different level of space. It's a different level of emphasis. He went from
Have you
being a
talked
guy.
have you talked to him about that?
Yeah.
What did he say about that? Because that really intriguing to me because you just brought it to my attention.
Basically what he said was in his time off, he got to sit there and he got to watch a lot more. And it wasn't just college. A lot of it was NBA. He got to watch teams that were having success and he like learned some different things about what he could be doing offensively. And it was just like, hey, this looks like fun. So recruited to that way and started trying to play that way and started trying to put a little bit more emphasis on, like, it wasn't a fluke that it kind of happened that way. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it
It
was,
wasn't like it was predetermined that it was going to happen this way.
yes, he
Yeah.
recruited to that. And I think when you look at this roster, the one thing that I will say is that it's kind of similar to what you saw out of those Xavier teams. Like Jamal Mark is a bucket. You could see him doing similar things to what Ryan Conwell did last year at
Yeah.
Xavier, right? You look at a guy like Simeon Wilcher, and you can squint your eyes and see him doing similar things to Ryan Conwell or Davian McKnight if you put him in the Jordan Pope role, right? Like I think that there are guys here that can score. There are guys here that can play on the perimeter, and there's a willingness to get up and down and kind of spread. I mean, if you have Dalen Swain as your four-man around Vogatitis, then you're looking at four guards that can score, four guys that in theory can make shots, and a big guy and a 7-footer that can finish in and around the basket, block some. Like I see what he's trying to do. I just think that the talent level that is on this roster like this would be a really, really good, like a top 5 team in the Big East this year. And I think it's probably closer to like top 10, top 11, top 12 in the SEC. And that's just the difference in talent between the SEC and the Big East. And frankly, the difference between having 16 teams and 11 teams. If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for the season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Go download the BetMGM app and use the code FIELD today.
Yeah, I agree with most of that. You know what I think some of the underrated additions were is Declan Duru, who's a role player who doesn't crave the ball, who defends his butt off. I mean, really defends. Super long wingspan. I saw him play for Germany at the U19 Worlds. Like he stood out in a guy that isn't going to overplay his hand, one, and two, stands out as a guy that's going to be able to knock down open shots. So you need those kind of players. I think he's an underrated ad. You know who else I think is an underrated ad? Cam Heide. That dude's been part of winning, right? So, like, I think there's a clear vision of, hey, these guys are really talented. Who do I have around them? And I think that was intentional because everybody can't average 15, 20 points a game. I think Duru is going to play a big role at times this year where he'll change the course of a game and have 4 points. He'll change the course of a game and have 7 points just because he's so versatile defensively. Cam Heide, 6'7", red shirt, whatever, like never really a huge producer at Purdue, but at the same time, like did a lot of winning in West Lafayette. So you look at those guys and I like kind of the other pieces, the ancillary pieces. So it's not like you're loading up with, this guy averaged 20 a game, another 16, this guy averaged 17. It's not that situation at Texas. But I think those are underrated additions. And I'll be honest, like it's a pretty exciting group in that I think you have 3 guards that can really go get it. Really go get it.
So X factor here to me look, Dalen Swain and Simeon Wilcher living up to their potential and how well they all fit with a guy like Shamon Mark, who are, look, ball dominant guys that
Yep.
want to have the ball in their hands and make plays.
What's their catch and shoot percentage going to be for the other 15 or whatever, however many people they have? Like, what's their catch and shoot percentage going to be? Because that's what they're going to get at the end of the clock sometimes. And you know, Sean's going to make a move it a little bit, but it's going to come back to those guys. What are those other guys going to be able to shoot from the field whenever they're not given a whole lot of leash? Not saying I have no idea what Sean's going to do, but I just know the kind of cards that he has. Those guys are looking for buckets. How are the rest of the guys going to be able to space the floor for those players? That's my concern. I like the team, man. I like this team a little bit. Like, it's going to come down to guards and guard play. Stark contrast from what Arizona used to be.
Mm.
But you know, bigs win too in college. I wonder if Sean's kind of going back and forth on that. That's interesting to me. Like, like did pretty well at Xavier, got the Texas gig. Does it start to go back to the Arizona days of like, we're just going to beat you up and be bigger and more physical?
Let's put this into context, okay?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the best team that Sean had at Arizona was in 2015,
Okay.
right? He started Caleb Tarzewski at the 5.
He was what, 7'12"?
7 foot 240. Brandon
Yeah.
Ashley at the 4 was 6'9", 240, a pure 4-man. Rondé Hollis Jefferson was the starting small forward on that team. And Stanley Johnson was your starting 2 guard.
I know. So like, yeah,
You went from being having your shooting guard was a
overwhelming.
6'6", 230-pound monster, right? To having your starting 4-man be smaller than that. Like, it's a complete 180 from what he was at Arizona. And I also think college basketball has made a complete 180. Like, it's a different game now. And I think you need to be smaller and kind of pace it and space it and play that style. But
I don't know, man. I'm not sure I agree with that. You see the really good ones like Duke, like they're physically overwhelming. You look at UConn a couple of years ago. You look at UConn a couple of years ago, physically overwhelming.
But here's
like
where
that wins. Physically overwhelming wins.
Here's where I would push back is that Duke was physically overwhelming, but part of the reason they were physically overwhelming is because you had a 6'9" point guard in Cooper Flagg who was physically overwhelming.
You
right?
had a
Like,
7'2" center named Kaman Malawat. You had a
yeah,
point guard named Sion. You had a point guard named Sion James who was 6'5", 240 pounds.
Yes,
you had Isaiah Evans coming off the bench at 6'8", 6'9".
I
physically overwhelming wins. When you're Texas,
but it's not.
You're Arizona, you're
they're not,
Duke, you're UConn. Get the horses.
Yeah, you're not playing bully ball. Like, all of those guys are exceptionally skilled, right? Like Cooper Flagg.
But you can get both now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You can get
great
both now. Like you need you can get both. Like, you don't have to say, well, I have 6'3", 6'4". You don't have to do that anymore. Con Knippel, like big. I think you can actually stretch it out a little bit more. Tyrese Proctor was their point guard sometimes, 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah, but the difference is the skill. Like, all due respect to Stanley Johnson, I don't know if he watches the show. I don't know if he still follows college basketball. Is not the same skill level as a guy like Con Knippel. Rondé Hollis Jefferson.
Who was their point guard on that team?
TJ McConnell.
Holy shit! Like, they're fine.
They were
Stanley Johnson was a lottery pick, and he was skilled enough.
Yeah, they were a football team, man.
Hey, dude, get you a football team. Get you a football team and have enough skill. Have 2-3 playmakers. I think the game is like there's enough big good players now to where like you don't have to be 6'2", 6'3".
Because everybody's coming back. That's what it is. Like, now you're losing 30 guys, underclassmen, to the league, and guys like Yaxel Lindenberg are coming back. I think that's like it's gotten older. So you don't have to.
How big is he? How big is he?
Oh, he's a monster.
Yeah, okay,
he's so good. You want to talk about
play? He's going to play alongside other big dudes.
This is a different pod for a different day.
This is a different pod for a different day. We went through it down a rabbit hole. That all being said, guard play helps. Also, signing winning dudes help. I'm giving Texas a B because I just like some of the pieces. Year one for Sean Miller. They're going to be able to score some games. Other games, they're going to have to find ways to win at the end of them. And I think that's where a guy like Duru helps you. I think that's where a guy like Cam Heide helps you because
Yep.
you need guys to do winning things at the end of contests. Both those guys are well trained in how to do that. And then you have kind of these spark plugs at the 1, 2, and 3. It's going to be fun. How good is this team? I think it's a top 8 to 9 team in the SEC, which puts you probably in the NCAA tournament. But I'm just excited to see it play out. I'm excited to see it play out.
Yep. So I gave them a B plus. I think the roster to me was a B minus off season, but you cannot rate their off season without also rating the fact that Sean Miller is now their head coach. And I love RT. That's my guy. I'm happy that he got the job. He deserved to get the job. I think that they made an upgrade in the coaching department in that conference. So I'm going with a B plus because I'm also including the hire of Sean Miller in that conversation. Listen, Tio, this has been fun, man. Another episode of Field of 68 Offseason Grades in the bag. Make sure you check out the YouTube channel. Make sure you check out our podcast feed. There's 35 of these things that we have done. You should go and listen to every single one of them. You're never going to get a better breakdown than any teams in the offseason than what you get from the Field of 68 Offseason Grades.